Washington, the United Nations and Human Rights Watch held a joint press conference called Torture in the Kingdom. Vermont Senator Patrick Leahy was among those in attendance. For more on this, we have Asma Yousef. She's a writer and a human rights activist. Asma, you were listening to that press conference earlier. What exactly came out of that, and what have you seen from U.S. government, from politicians in response to this?
Well, the hearing today in the U.S. Congress was convened to talk about the horrendous human rights abuses that are happening every day on a daily basis in Saudi Arabia against women activists, against reformers in the kingdom, and so on. It's been going on for a while. And Patrick Leahy, who is a senator in U.S. Congress, one of the things that he said was the importance to emphasize that this is not an isolated incident, what happened to Jamal Khashoggi, that it's part of this clampdown, this repression, this attack by the Saudi regime against human rights activists in the kingdom. And in fact, he even said the behavior of the Saudi regime is that of a quote-unquote criminal enterprise. So I think there was a need by all those who attended the hearing, including relatives of the Lujain al-Hadloul and Dr. Fatahi, to emphasize the need for the U.S. Congress to intervene and to do something to rein in MBS, so to speak, because they've really lost hope in this administration doing something about it.
And I'm glad you touched on that point. You know, the U.S. has touted itself as a moral authority, but they haven't put the human rights of Saudis, including some of its own citizens who have been missing in Saudi Arabia. Why do you think that this administration in particular has prioritized the Saudi relationship over bringing justice to Mohammed bin Salman and the rest of the Saudi government for the killing of Khashoggi?
Well, there's been a lot of sort of talk about the relationship, the behind the doors relationship between members of the Trump administration, like Jared Kushner and others. He had a meeting in Saudi Arabia with MBS 2 weeks ago, and it was reported that he wouldn't allow any of the U.S. embassy staff to attend the meeting or to be any notes to be recorded of the meeting. So certainly there are a lot of questions about what special relationship that ties MBS to the Trump administration. Now, having said that, recently there's also people who are peddling the talking point that now that people's reaction to what happened to Jamal Khashoggi has sort of slowed down a little bit, that, you know, we need to defend a strong alliance between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia, that MBS is here to stay. It appeared in an op-ed this week in Foreign Policy. And I would argue with that because of that special relationship between Saudi Arabia and the U.S. has a historic obligation, responsibility to rein in MBS and to do something about it. And this role cannot be abdicated. This responsibility cannot be abdicated. And we've seen that because of this administration's inability to do something about the MBS problem, that we still have activists in prison. This week we had 10 women who were put on trial, and they did not even know the charges that they were facing until the day of the trial. They were not allowed legal representation. So obviously there are consequences to the Trump administration's deliberate inaction on MBS. And I think the U.S. Congress is recognizing this as well and wanting to do something about it.
All right. Asma Yousef, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.